how's it going? Today I am up in my old vegetable garden area where I was gardening last year. And this is a much smaller space, but this is where I planted my garlic last fall because I did not have my other space, my new big garden built yet. So I have a whole bunch of garlic here and we are going to be harvesting it today, and I thought I would bring you guys along for that and show you kind of what to look for and how to harvest your garlic and then how to cure it and all that kind of stuff. So I actually pulled one of my garlic heads out the other day because I wanted to check it and see how it was doing. Now this guy is looking a little yellower than these ones in the ground are because I pulled him out a couple days ago and he's already starting to wilt down. So what we want to look for to see if our garlic is ready or not is you want to be looking at the tips of your garlic. They'll start to brown and start to die back a little bit. And also at the base of your garlic, bring you guys in so you can see here, you'll start to see the lower leaves starting to die. I don't know if you guys can see that there, but there's one of the lower leaves. And you want to look for the first couple bottom leaves to start to die. So the first one, two, you really want to go past that. You want to get them when the first one or two are starting to die back and the tops of your garlic are starting to die back as well. One way to make sure that your garlic is ready is always just to dig it and to see what it looks like. You want to make sure that the paper on the outside of the garlic is still nice and intact. You don't want that to be gone. That's what protects your garlic, and so you want to make sure that that's still good and intact, and you want to make sure that the heads in there are nice and filled out, which these are. So to harvest this garlic, I'm going to just be using a shovel, a little trowel I have here, and I'm just going to be going around the bulbs. I want to make sure that I am away from the bulb enough that I'm not going to pierce it with my shovel at all. You don't want to disturb that skin or cut into one of your garlic cloves. That will affect the storing. It won't store as long if you do damage that. So if you accidentally do damage a couple, you're just going to want to use those heads first because they won't store as long as other ones that are protected by the wrapper. So I'm going to go around each one of my garlic plants here, staying away from the head of the garlic a little bit and just starting to loosen the soil around those garlic heads. Okay, now that you got your garlic head out, you want to just dust off all the dirt that you can, but we'll be getting the remaining dirt off of it later, so it's okay if there's still a little bit left. Okay, so I was able to get 27 heads of garlic out of this little bed behind me. I hope you guys can see. It's so bright out here. I can hardly see what I am doing, but 27 heads of garlic. They look amazing, and I have a few more things I want to talk about, but we're going to go to the shade for that so you guys can see more clearly. Okay, now that we're in the shade and I can actually see what I'm doing, we are under my back porch where we store our firewood and things like that, but this is actually where I'm going to be curing my garlic. And you want to pick a place that stays relatively cool. You don't want it to get so crazy hot or so crazy cold. You want to protect it from the elements, from wind and rain and things like that. And under here, under my back porch, it's right off our basement. It's a little bit cooler. It stays in the shade most of the day, and it does not get affected by the wind or the rain or anything like that. So this is a perfect place for my garlic to cure. And I'm going to be laying it out on this pallet right behind me, and I'll show you guys that in a second. Okay, so per the usual, as I tell you to do things, I'm also going to show you what not to do. Okay, so when you're pulling your garlic, let me find a good one here. You want it to look like this. This still has all the paper intact. You can't see any of the cloves sticking out anywhere. The roots are nice and intact. And we still have this piece on here. We want to leave this entire thing intact for the curing process because your bulb is going to be drawing nutrients from all these greens and everything into the bulb while it's curing. After it's done curing, then you can go ahead and cut these off if you like, or you could braid these up, you can cut the roots off, all that kind of stuff. And also after the curing process is when we can dust these off and get the rest of the dirt off of them and things like that, because they're going to be all dried out. So it'll be easier to get the dirt off of them. So this is what you want your garlic when you pull it to look like. Now I have some heads that are bigger, some that are quite smaller, and then I also have quite a few double heads. And I counted these as a single when I was counting 27 heads of garlic that I got. I just counted these as a single because I'll probably use them at the same time. And if I were to tear these apart, I could damage the integrity of these cloves and how long they'll be able to cure. So I'm just going to leave these together and count them as one head. I'm assuming this happened because I put 2 cloves in one hole. I'm not sure why I did that, and apparently I did that over and over again. I don't remember doing that, but I don't know how else that would happen. Maybe it could do 2. I have no idea, but anyway, I have a few double heads, and that's okay. Okay, now what you don't want to see when you pull your garlic out, you don't want the roots to be missing and the garlic cloves to be exposed there at the bottom. I was given a yank on this one, and I should have loosened the soil up more. That soil was really tough up there, and I actually wonder if these would have gotten a lot bigger if they were in softer soil. So that will be interesting next year, putting them somewhere where they'll have a lot more room to grow. And maybe they'll get bigger, I don't know. But I was yanking on this one, and I ripped the roots right off the bottom of them with all the protective paper. So I'm gonna have to use this guy right away. Also, where's my other one? Also this guy. Okay, so what happened here was I was yanking on this, and this outer piece just pulled off, and this piece was left. Now, you might think, oh, that's okay, it still has all of its stuff, but the outer paper was damaged while that happened, and some of the cloves are now exposed. So I'm going to be using these 2 first before I use any of my other ones. I am going to let them sit out and still cure for a little while because I still want them to go through the curing process, but these will be used first. These won't be able to be stored for very long. So now that my garlic is all harvested and we've talked through those things, let's get it laid out. I'm going to be putting it on this pallet, like I said, right behind me in single layers so that they are able to dry out. Okay, so there they are all laid out. You can see I have 2 rows so far of garlic, and I actually have another bed to go harvest from. I wasn't going to show you guys that one because it's the same exact process, and I think you guys get the point. But yeah, and it's okay to lay the bulbs on top of the previous layer. That's okay. You just want to make sure that all the bulbs are spaced out really nice so they all have good airflow and circulation around them. And the bulbs that I messed up and are damaged a little bit, I made sure to put those 2 on the end, right there. so that I can keep an eye on those. I know that they're right there on the end, and if they start to look funny or whatever, I can keep an eye on them really carefully. So I am going to be curing these garlic for about 2 weeks. That's a general rule of thumb. You want to just leave them sit back here and let them dry out and soak up all that energy from the green leaves, and that usually takes about 2 weeks. You just want to keep an eye on them, make sure that they're looking good, nothing funny going on with them. The leaves should start to yellow, and then in about 2 weeks you can just cut the tops off and the roots and store them in a basket or something like that, or you can braid them. Some garlic varieties are easier to braid in garlic braids than others. Soft necks are usually easier to braid than hard necks. What I have this year is hard neck garlic, and I am actually going to attempt to braid it, and I'm going to show you guys that process. So there will be a part 2 to the garlic, and I will be showing you guys how to go from this step then into the storing process of taking care of your garlic. So keep an eye out for that video in 2 weeks whenever my garlic is done curing. So I am going to go finish doing this garlic in the 90-degree weather. Oh, one more thing I wanted to share with you guys. I forgot to at the beginning. I garden in a zone 6B in Pennsylvania, and I planted this garlic in November. So we typically want to plant our garlic here between October and November. Any time in there is pretty good. Later October and earlier November, really. But as long as you can work the soil, get your garlic in the ground, and then it sits there all winter. It's growing very slowly. It kind of stays dormant through the coldest part, and then it'll get growing in the spring and just put on the bulk of its growth in that season then. So now it is around the end of June. Yeah, it's the end of June, and I'm harvesting them now. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, if you plant your garlic in October, November, it'll be ready end of June, beginning of July usually. So yeah, I think that's it. I hope this was helpful, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the next one.